Alright, well, thank you all for coming out here, and thank you to my classmates. You were all amazing. And this is a short story that I wrote this week. And it's not that edited, but here it goes. It's titled The Gray, and it's based off a picture prompt. The grayness crept closer with each passing day, but she was the only one who saw it. From her window overlooking the city, she watched as the colorful buildings on the horizon faded into bleak dullness. The girl laid her forehead against the cool glass, closing her eyes and blocking out the joggers, the mother, the dog walker, and all the blank faces of people below. She knew what she needed to do. At last, she stood and turned, walking on light feet out of the room, down the stairs, and onto the street. Colorful trees stood upright in the still, flavorless air. "Where are you going?" asked the dog walker when she passed him. "To the grayness," she replied. He laughed. "There is no gray. Come, walk with me and see the color." She shook her head and continued on. She passed by the mother next. "Come, say hello to my child." The girl came and looked. The faces were blank, as all faces were. She reached out a finger and allowed the child to wrap a smooth, chubby hand around it. It was cold. "It is a beautiful day, is it not?" The girl looked up at the white sky, nearly blinding in its glow and purity. What if the sky were to darken? The mother chuckled. "A gray sky? How silly! Perhaps you would like to join me. The colors are so very bright today, you see." "The colors are always bright," the girl responded, nodding in acknowledgement. She ventured on, perpendicular to the mother's path, perpendicular to everyone's path, into the city, towards the grayness. "Why do you go that way?" called the joggers as they stood in front of her. "Come on, this way." But the girl ignored them and gazed into the whiteness above, catching sight of a hot air balloon in vibrant reds and greens and pinks. It cast no shadow. Nothing cast shadow, save for the shadow of the approaching gray. A car slid past, silent and slick, and a man moved mechanically from inside. As she passed through the outlined, upright buildings, a dread began to grow in her. She feared the grayness for what it was and for what it could do. The more the dread seeped into her, the quicker time raced by, and long before she was ready, she was there. The grayness was before her, in shifting shades of blacks and whites that blended into unfamiliarity. The dark glass of the buildings reflected her featureless face, revealing faceless features. She glanced behind her at the bright, almost one-dimensional buildings. At that surface world of color and no depth, a man on a bike, bland and characterless, lacking all concern, worry, pain, and fear, pedaled past nearly 2 yards from the gray that slowly inched forward. "Good day," he called. "Wait." The girl stepped back from the gray. He stopped and put one foot on the ground, turning to face her, blank and calm. "Do you see it?" she asked him. "See what?" His tone was cheerful and emotionless. "The gray." Again came that empty laugh that was so common. It was laughter without knowing the origin, joy without knowing the alternative. "Perhaps you should join me. Enjoy the air and color." She hesitated and looked at the gray. There was no color, and she would be forced to look deeply into shadows in order to see. She would have to give up her safe and flavorless life. Perhaps she should run, flee from the gray and always fly from it, always running, grasping desperately to her depleting world until she collapsed, and the gray consumed her, exhausted and form. A stronger urge inside her told her that she could not. She had to know what it held. Steeling herself, she walked into the gray. The first thing she noticed was the smell of the air. It was strange and smoky, but throbbing with a deep passion, sweet in the lungs and bitter in the mouth. The next thing she saw was her reflection in the glass. Wide eyes, parted lips, and raised brows. She was captivated by it, by expression and emotion. She felt a tender breeze on her skin and reached out, exploring the roughness of the building before her. A voice spoke, layered with a deep tiredness. "Who are you?" She turned and saw a man standing before her, with hooded eyes and slumped shoulders. But his smile breathed life, simultaneously joyful and sad, into the world. Evelyn, she told him, feeling that finally someone truly saw her. Again, she faced the color and for the first time realized the falsity of her world. It was pretty, perhaps, but it held no depth. It had none of the grimness of reality. Where am I? The gray. She blinked a few times rapidly. She had passed into the gray, into bitter truth, languid chatters, and dark struggles. And yet, she would not leave it for anything. I have to go on, Evelyn breathed, her voice rising and falling with feeling on the wind. It is a hard journey, the man warned, and if you turn back, you will end up back here at the edge of the gray and the color. To face the gray all over again, I should know. I've tried. Wait here with me, and let the gray pass you by. It will come to you, eventually. Her breath caught in her lungs. The sensation was terrible, but also wonderful. What will come? The other side of the gray. I need to meet it. The man studied her. Then I wish you luck, Evelyn. She smiled, and it felt incredibly odd on her new and complicated face. Thank you. And then it occurred to her. Who are you? He grinned honestly, flashing white teeth. Horace. Thank you, Horace. With one last meeting with their bottomless and captivating eyes, she moved on, into the gray, towards the other side.